There's always one. Today's the best day of my life. Thank you for listening to me talk. If you don't know who I am, my name is James Cummings. I live in Fairfield, Connecticut with those 3 kids right there. The youngest 2 have rare and undiagnosed diseases, separate rare and undiagnosed diseases. And the collective year I have spent sleeping in hospitals has led me to refocus my time and energy on this planet, and that is to modernize healthcare for this inevitable future that we are headed towards. And that's why I got involved with Graham, HL7, policy, CMS initiatives, ONC initiatives. I published a paper called Consumer Data is Key to Artificial Intelligence Value in Healthcare. And that's sort of exactly the good segue from where Dave just left off. This does not happen without the consumer behavior. And I am on this mission to help this inevitable future happen sooner. So I started Participatory Health, and that is focused on getting all of the pieces in place so that we can actually travel around with our complete real-time longitudinal health record like a thumbprint. It's either going to happen 10 years from now or 100 years from now, with or without anybody in this room or anybody alive. So I think Dev Days is kind of an environment where I understand, or people understand that more than any potentially other conference that you go to. So I'm excited to talk about what Anthony and Amy are representing in the Kill the Clipboard or health tech ecosystem, and why I'm excited about it is that the collective year I've spent in these hospitals, and I don't know exactly how many encounters, I think it's less than 1,000, but I've seen how the sausage is made and the data that's missing, forgotten, lost in between shifts, but certainly in between systems. There's no business incentive that will ever cause a provider to want that data and accept it. So if we want to create this data set, this complete real-time longitudinal health record, has to go through the consumer. And if we're going to do that as consumers, we need FHIR. And then what do we need to help us use this FHIR? And that's in real-world enforcement and implementation, which is where I'll get into the health tech ecosystem, Kill the Clipboard, because now we have some firepower behind us to actually force the hand of these providers to accept this data. So I used Josh's health skills, and I'm going to go through my youngest son, William, who's has a heart defect and profoundly deaf, neurological tumors. He's seen by 4 Epic systems. So I connected through Smart on FHIR, and it's going through Yale and Cleveland Clinic, NYU, and Boston Children's. He's failing to thrive. If you saw him up there, he's the size of a 2-year-old, but he's actually going on 6 years old. So he has a bunch of different diagnoses. And one of the encounters I had on Friday, as you can see, we're going through this. Who doesn't know this workflow? Everybody knows this workflow, right? I can speak over this Smart on FHIR, but I didn't have to credentialize myself with a clear ID.me. All I needed to remember was my Yale login and password. And now I get the 2,000 plus records from Yale. I'm going to do it for Boston Children's and then Cleveland Clinic and NYU. But the Friday appointment was an audiology appointment at Yale. And then yesterday was a follow-up neurotology and otology appointment at Boston Children. And Boston Children's 11,000 records are going in the Smart on FHIR. We're going to finish it off with Cleveland Clinic here and then NYU. And this I didn't need to use a network to do this. I think portalitis is a problem that we think about, but is a misguided distraction to making sure that my relationship with all 4 of these systems is mine and mine alone. All I needed was my username and password, and all that data is going into Claude right now. Thank you for Josh for building that health skill. So we have a complete representation of all 4 systems that William is seen by. Every minute and encounter he has. So we're sending it into Claude, and I just quickly ask, what's the patient's name? Does it even know who it is? And it turns back and says, William P. Cummings, just to make sure it was him. When was my last appointment? and it's going to say William's most recent appointment was June 12th, which was Friday. That's the audiology at Yale. And then I ask it, how many audiologists and neurologists and otologists does William see? How many different providers see him for this? And they first say audiology has Yale and Boston Children. ENT is Yale, Boston, NYU. And it's important to understand that the encounters Friday and Monday were to see if cochlear implants might help him hear. And I have an appointment on June 15th at Boston Children. Can you find the details? Yes, you have one with, I'm not even sure her name. I took that appointment in the airport, but June 15th, which is today, I actually did this yesterday. So is there a consensus among his providers about cochlear implants from 3 different places he's seeing, NYU, Boston Children's Cleveland Clinic? And it says, well, here's where it gets dicey. One says no ears will work, one says 1 ear will work, and the other says 3 ears will work. And maybe 4. So can I figure out how to take that data? So I say, please use the Kill the Clipboard skill. Help me prepare a shareable smart health links for Dr. Griffin today, which was yesterday. Include everything necessary from Williams' audiology, neurology, otology, and include a chronological results of Williams' collective screenings. So now I have something to port over to the physician at Boston Children's that's going to make our time and my time in front of her and the experience and education she's amassed over her lifetime and her God-given intelligence to help maximize that moment or encounter. So here's the Smart Health link with the QR code, and this is the Kill the Clipboard. Now you can use it, scan it if you like. But this is everything that I asked Claude to do. It's all of the chronological order. It's the reports and the findings from all 3 different systems that he's seen by. And now you can see right here is a health summary that they could choose to use. I don't think that what we really have to understand is Boston Children's going to accept this data into their system? And Josh said they should be excited. I don't think they're excited. But Dr. Griffin's excited to get this data. So there's very different needs that a provider has versus a clinician. And that's, what I think Kill the Clipboard represents, and that's why I'm excited for Anthony and what Amy's doing. It's not expediting patient intake. It's the precedent that a provider is going to accept outside data for diagnostics and therapeutics for the first time and use it, because there's 60 zettabytes of health data out there. Less than 1% is actually used and shareable, and if we're going to use it, us as consumers need to aggregate it and hand it over. And that is what we're calling Kill the Clipboard. Don't think about it as alleviating your time in a waiting room filling out a cardboard, a piece of paper on a plyboard. It's about giving consumer-curated data to a provider that's going to accept and use it. So I'm excited for this conversation. Thank you, Josh.